Tonight,
When you're on a fixed income, you're taking $100 worth of groceries home in one sack.
Oklahoma families are feeling the pinch.
I only get what I have to.
In an Oklahoma's own original half hour, important information to help you maximize your money. Can anything be done to bring down grocery prices? State leaders just cut taxes on most food items. But what else can be done to make families make ends meet? Then, money is the last thing anyone wants to think about in times of crisis.
Someone wrote me about how they and their husband were going to commit suicide because they had so much medical debt.
What you need to know if the unthinkable happens. And some people are making drastic decisions.
I actually know quite a few people that are my age that have moved back in with their parents.
30-somethings living with their parents.
Before I moved in, I had zero savings.
Are the savings worth it?
Definitely some disadvantages. I just, have my room. That's it.
Plus, it's never too early to learn about money.
My parents say if you save more money, you get more money.
Practical advice for parents teaching a new generation of spenders and savers. Maximizing your money. Presented by Future You Financial. Now, Dave Davis and Leanne Taylor.
Thanks for joining us for an important half hour on the cost of living and how it's impacting Oklahoma families. Tonight, we'll have helpful advice on how to stretch your dollar and make the most of your money.
But before we hear from the experts, we wanted to hear from you. So we have compiled some of the questions you told us you wanted answered. Plus, we went all over town asking, what would you do with an extra $1,000?
What would I do? Oh, definitely pay off some bills, of course.
I'll just put it in savings.
Oh, I'd go to the casino.
We'll be sharing some of our favorite answers throughout the broadcast. And later we'll ask an expert, what should you do when unexpected money comes your way? But we want to begin with a topic that is impacting our politics and your pocketbook: inflation.
Inflation is steadily fading in the U.S. after 3 painful years of surging prices hammering many families' finances. Rates peaked at 7.1% in June of 2022, the highest in 4 decades, before dropping. With inflation coming under control, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell indicated that the central bank is now focused on preventing any worsening of the job market. The unemployment rate has risen for 4 straight months.
We would like to see some lower prices and some real sales here in Oklahoma. We haven't had them in so long.
Do you feel this demonstration will accomplish that?
Well, we certainly hope it will, Mike.
Inflation sparked protests back in 1966 when people across North America took to the streets with signs encouraging boycotting grocery stores. Our cameras were there to capture that history.
Today, people are feeling the pinch of inflation at the store once again. I talked with shoppers about how they're making ends meet.
Mrs. Markwood, are bread prices really that high that they forced you to start baking your own?
Yes, Mr. Pitcock, they are. They've gone up tremendously in the last several weeks.
What do you mean they've gone up tremendously? How much?
Approximately 7 cents and maybe even more.
Call it penny pinching, but in 1966, Mrs. Markwood said she'd be making her own bread until prices went down.
How many loaves of bread do you bake a day?
Approximately 20, sometimes more, sometimes less.
20? Now, your family couldn't possibly eat this much bread. What do you do with the rest of it?
I sell it to friends.
Fast forward nearly 6 decades, people are feeling another pinch and looking for a break.
Here I come and shop the deals.
I only get what I have to, what's necessary.
Horrible. They have just, when you're on a fixed income, you're taking $100 worth of groceries home in one sack. And it's just ridiculous.
These shoppers in Manford all turned to Phelps Market, the only true grocery store in town. And on both the customer and retail side, higher prices on everything means sacrifices. At Phelps, longtime manager Eddie Trueblood has seen many ups and downs and told me the profit margins, in other words, how much money the store owner is making, are already not great in this business.
Prices are always increasing to a degree, but you just have to have lower margins and try to offer the customer value to shop here.
So when we talk about prices going up, when did this happen? The Bureau of Labor Statistics says grocery prices didn't change much in the early days of the pandemic from 2019 to 2020. But then look at the summer of 2022. Groceries went up more than 13% year over year, the biggest spike in at least 20 years.
Have customers' habits changed over the years, and how have they changed?
They look for what's on sale more. They shop the ad more week to week and buy the things that they may change what they're eating for dinner based on what's on sale that week.
And for shoppers like Mandy Rice, dinner is always made at home.
I make everything homemade, honestly.
Eating out less?
Oh, I don't eat out at all. I don't.
And why?
Because it's cheaper and healthier at home.
Let's compare grocery prices with eating out. BLS numbers show a $100 sack of groceries last year now costs you only $1 more. Grocery prices have leveled off since 2022, but a $100 meal at a restaurant will now cost you $4 more. Mrs. Markwood made her own bread to combat inflation in the 1960s, and today Mary Sisson raises chickens to save money on eggs.
Taking baby chicks in that I just hatched. So you supplement. You have to supplement. So I do hatch a lot of eggs, and I've got a bunch of baby chicks that are going to the market.
And to save even more cash, she picks up old produce to feed her chickens.
Chickens like everything.
With the prices being what they are, not looking like they'll return to pre-pandemic levels, there are many ways Oklahoma shoppers are making their paychecks go further.
You might have noticed it the last time you went to the store. A new law is now helping Oklahoma shoppers keep a little more cash in their pockets. The state's 4.5% grocery tax was eliminated last month. Our Capitol reporter Haley Wager is looking into what's happening on the state level that could impact your money.
We believe in you. We believe you can spend your dollars better than we can.
It was always my focus to return money back to people.
Getting money back into your pockets. That's been a goal of the House Speaker and Senate Pro Tem during their tenure at the state capitol.
The state of Oklahoma is just a reflection of the people of the state. If they're doing well, the state will do well. And the state has been doing well the last 5 years.
And over the last 5 years, we've sent $750 million of tax cuts to the governor's desk.
Those cuts include the franchise tax, marriage penalty, and corporate income tax, along with the largest single tax cut the state has ever passed, the elimination of the grocery sales tax.
It's the one that has the most immediate effect on people's pocketbooks.
The measure is expected to save Oklahoma families anywhere between $300 to $800 annually.
You know you've done something good and you've done your job when you're back in your home district and somebody comes up to you and says, "Thanks for doing this, because this really helped our family."
While state lawmakers have successfully cut millions in taxes, it's been 15 years since they passed a law to raise the minimum wage. That's what sparked the grassroots effort to take that conversation out of the Capitol.
Costs are rising right now. They've been rising, and we haven't raised the minimum wage.
Amber England is the voice behind State Question 832.
This campaign is rooted in our state motto, labor conquers all.
The state question would gradually increase minimum wage to $15 an hour over 5 years. Then it will continue to grow based on inflation.
We're not opposed to a discussion on the minimum wage. We're really opposed to the mechanism that just inflates it artificially based on a federally produced index in perpetuity.
That's why the state chamber is trying to block it.
Rural Oklahoma is definitely impacted by this. Food costs are definitely impacted by this, and it's something that Oklahoma should be paying attention to.
Impacting every sector from restaurants and hospitality to agriculture.
Part of the reason we're standing here in the stockyards is those costs are going to be passed on to the feed that goes into cattle, to the operators of the stockyards, who gets passed on to the restaurant owners in terms of the cost of beef. And now all the price of all of those things gets more expensive.
But if you ask Amber, this way future-proofs the state.
This is a responsible way to raise the minimum wage. A gradual minimum wage increase allows those small businesses time to be able to do that. There are working Oklahomans depending on a pay raise.
But it's not up to either of them.
And now it's time for voters to decide.
Most of us plan for some type of debt. Maybe you have a car payment or a house payment. But what about medical debt? An unexpected diagnosis can turn your world upside down, but there is help. CT scans, MRIs, blood tests, long stays in the ICU. The price of health can add up quickly, whether it's an unexpected surgery or fighting a disease for decades.
Money is on the mind with every medical issue. The national nonprofit Patient Advocate Foundation says it's here to help with the everyday and the most desperate situations.
I'll tell you, one of the strongest memories I have of my first year working for Patient Advocate Foundation was a letter someone wrote me about how they and their husband were going to commit suicide because they had so much medical debt until they came to us, and our case managers walk through all their different options.
Senior Director Caitlin Donovan says PAF offers free case management and financial help for anyone with a diagnosed chronic condition.
We help hundreds of thousands of people every year around the country who have diabetes, AIDS, lupus, cancer, all sorts of different types of cancer, get the health care that they need.
Donovan says the most important thing someone can do to avoid medical debt is to be insured.
Even if you think you can't afford it, there is a plan out there that will work for you, whether it's the state-run Medicaid program or one of the probably free for you Affordable Care Act ones you can access online.
The organization's website is patientadvocate.org. If you go to Case Management Services, you can apply for help. PAF says even if you don't qualify, it will point you in the right direction to get you connected to other programs that can help.
One generation is going to extremes to save money. See why more millennials are packing up and moving back home next. And farmers and ranchers are feeling the economic pressure too. The warning from one Oklahoma farmer. Plus, if you use a popular app, you could qualify to receive up to $2,500.
Well, as much as school supplies cost right now, probably buy some school supplies, some clothes, hit the outlet mall.
I'd bless someone else.
Many young adults are taking what some might call an extreme measure to save money. They're living with their parents.
It is a trend that has grown over the last several decades. Amy Slanchik looks at how some Oklahoma millennials are trying to move up by moving back in.
You want to hand that to me? I'll take it.
It's moving day for Katie Roush. She's had a lot of those over the past few years.
Glad to call Tulsa my home right now.
Katie considers herself to be financially responsible and says she rarely buys anything for herself she doesn't need.
I have no student loans, no car payment to pay off, so I'm super grateful for that.
But life got too expensive in her Florida apartment.
My rent actually went up $400, so I couldn't afford that. Tampa especially is booming, so it was not an option.
That prompted the 30-year-old to move to Texas, where she lived with her parents, Mike and Trish, for 2 years. Now she's moving in with her sister.
You're sad to have her leave the house?
Well, yeah, I mean, she needs to, though. She's got to move on with her life.
Yep, she's lived with us for too long. Time for her.
For her.
Settle down her
Not
roots
for us, for her.
The U.S. Census Bureau says in a report issued this year, the trend of young adults living with their parents remains strong.
Back in 1960, the Census Bureau reported about 11% of men and 7% of women aged 25 to 34 lived in their parents' home. That same age group in 2022 saw 19% of men and 12% of women living with their folks. More than half of 18 to 24-year-olds lived with their parents in 2022. And for both age groups, there was an uptick in 2020 to move back home, and that spike has since come down some.
I actually know quite a few people that are my age that have moved back in with their parents.
For Josh Wallace, the move made sense. He lived on his own for 4 years before coming back to his parents.
Before I moved in, I had zero savings. Zero savings, zero in 401k, no IRA, nothing.
While he's helping his family pay rent, he says he's still able to save and invest money with his eyes on the future.
Once I move out, my goal is to have enough money for a car, a house, and then extra money to kind of spend on things that I've been wanting to spend on for a while.
Katie says she was able to save thousands by living with her parents and is working toward her goals too.
I want to have enough to at least get 20% for a down payment for a house.
Sharing space with their parents to help them save, that's millennials making money-saving moves.
If you use Cash App, you may be eligible for up to $2,500. It stems from a class action lawsuit centered around unauthorized access of some users' information. The company denied wrongdoing but agreed to strengthen data security as part of that settlement. Visit our website, newson6.com, to find out if you qualify.
Many Oklahoma farmers are tightening their belts these days. A new report says it could be a sign of what's to come for the economy. The Kansas City Federal Reserve says farmers are having a slightly harder time repaying their loans compared to this time last year. And some farmers are warning those who are new to the industry about taking out a loan.
With interest rates, high prices, you think, hey, I can manage that. But that interest with cost of operation and a downturn in price, and you'll lose everything.
With declines in farm income and a steadily rising cost of doing business, experts say they expect more pressure on the agriculture economy over the next 6 months.
Right now, for $1,000, I'll probably invest that. Pay my car payment off.
So what should you do if you get extra cash? We ask the expert.
I would spend it.
On what?
On whatever I needed. At the time, you know, life goes on. You need it now, you need it for this, you need it for that, you need it for this and that, you know. I'd donate it.
You would? Yeah. To what?
Church.
Throughout the broadcast, we've been sharing what some Tulsans would do with an extra $1,000. We're joined now by CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger. And Jill, first of all, what should people do if they find themselves with that extra $1,000, whether it's a gift, tax return, or whatever?
I always think about the big three. I mean, this is something I coined a long time ago, and it is the three most important components of your financial planning. Number one, pay down high interest debt. That could be a credit card, might be an auto loan. Doesn't mean you should be paying down your 3% mortgage. It means that you really should focus on high interest debt. Number two, put money away in an emergency reserve fund. You know, that emergency reserve fund is there for you if something bad happens in the future. And I recommend that you keep 6 to 12 months of your living expenses in a safe, accessible bank account, a short-term CD, a money market account. And if you can do that, you're going to feel a lot better when something bad happens. And if you've got 1 and 2 done, that $1,000, just put it aside into a retirement account. Any dollar amount that you can add to your retirement today will help you long-term in the future.
A question from our viewers: how do you save when you live paycheck to paycheck?
You know, I have talked about this for so long, and it's really fascinating to me. There are certainly people who really have no extra money, but there are others who might be able to look through their spending and say, well, wait a minute. Maybe I do spend a little bit of money. Maybe I do go out to lunch, or maybe I'm falling a little bit behind in keeping track of where my money is going. Now, the key, of course, to saving is making sure that you capture any of those dollars automatically. That's one of the reasons people love these retirement plans through work, because the money comes out of their paychecks automatically. We want you to set up the same kind of things. We want you to automate your savings. So if you look through your spending and you say, hey, you know what, that extra $25 a week, I can pull back on that. I don't need to spend that. And if you take that and then automatically put it into a savings account, you're ahead of the game.
Jill, we've had a lot of questions from our viewers about retirement. What are some of the basics, the things that we can start doing now to set us up for retirement?
You know, the dollar that you put away today is so much more valuable in the future. That's why we want to encourage people to start as soon as they can to put money into retirement. So again, back to that $1,000. It doesn't have to be $1,000, but if you can just start the habit of saving for retirement as early as you can, that's amazing. If you're later in the starting, maybe you're saying like, hey, it took me a while to get on my feet. Any amount that you put away will help you in the future. And the last thing I want to point out is if you're at the age where you actually are already considering retirement, be careful about your choosing of your Social Security retirement benefits. A lot of people go grab those benefits at age 62, which is the earliest age at which you can claim Social Security retirement benefits. Well, when you do that at age 62, you actually make a deal with the government. You say, I'll take my money earlier, but you get a lower amount for the rest of your life. And this can impact somebody who's claiming on your record, a spouse who maybe was at home. So be careful about the way you choose your Social Security benefits. Try as much as you can to wait until your full retirement age. For most people, that's 67. And you can max out your Social Security benefits at age 70.
Jill, thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
When is the right time to teach your kids about money? Next, Craig Day with practical advice for parents.
When it comes to talking about money with young children, what's the best strategy? Craig Day tackles the topic with advice from experts and some energetic and talkative elementary school students.
To talk about the importance of teaching kids how to manage money, we've assembled a focus group of kids from Grove Elementary in Tulsa.
I lost one, and now I'm about to lose two because of this one.
We're going to sink our teeth into several financial topics.
Why'd the girl put makeup on her forehead?
I don't know.
She was trying to make up her mind.
Okay, this may be a little more challenging than I thought. Can I just say thank you, teachers? Anyway, back on track. How much do you need to retire?
$1 million?
$1 million?
$2 million.
$2 million?
$1 trillion.
$1 trillion?
1,000 grand.
1,000 grand?
What? 1,000.
$1,000. Instead of explaining the magic of compound interest, we're going to hit the basics. How do you make money?
By working. A job.
By working?
You grow up your life. Go through school, learn stuff. You go to college. You graduate college. Then you have the privilege, the trust, as to to get a job.
Radio host, financial expert, author, and mom Rachel Cruz says it's never too early to start talking to kids about good money habits.
It's a beautiful gift to give your kids as early as possible.
Cruz says a good start is to teach them that money comes from work, with kids getting paid for some chores, but not for others that parents require as being part of the family.
I love the idea of them actually participating when it comes to their own money. So I love the idea of the commission system, not allowance, but commission. So you work, you get paid. You don't work, you don't get paid.
And when they do make a little money or get some birthday money from grandma,
teach them to give first, save second, spend third.
Some members of our expert group have already talked to their parents about money.
They said don't spend all of it on one thing.
Cruz says the financial lessons get more detailed as kids get older. After all, these are just elementary school kids. But she says no matter their age, it is important to instill contentment and generosity.
I would spend it on a mini car.
On a mini car? You're not old enough to drive.
A toy car.
Oh.
I will be a YouTuber and a gardener and a scientist.
Thanks for joining us tonight. We know the economy is more than Wall Street stock prices. So watch News on 6 for coverage that impacts your family.
And follow me on Instagram and Facebook for more tips on how to stretch your dollar and make your money matter. That's our time tonight. We'll see you on 6 in the morning.
Maximizing Your Money has been presented by Future You Financial.